Hello, I'm Fish O'Toole. I'd like to read a story to you from my book, Adventures at Professor Prep's Academy. The story is called The Poetry Contest. The boys had a rousing game of touch football going in the field behind the dorms at Professor Prep's Academy. Winston and Gary D were heading up the blue shirt team, while Franklin and Woodrow captained the mighty red shirts. The Red Shirts had won 4 of the last 6 games they had played against the Blues. Fuzzy was in his usual position of tailback as Winston barked the play signals for what would most certainly be the last play of the game. The play clock showed 7 seconds left in the 4th quarter, and the Reds had the Blues beaten 21-18. A field goal and a tied game simply won't do, said Winston in the huddle. We have to go for the long bomb and a win. The ball was snapped, and the entire red team rushed Winston, who scrambled around in the backfield, dodging would-be tacklers. I'm clear, screamed Fuzzy from the end zone, where there were no red shirts in sight. Just then, Winston spotted him and released a beautiful spiral straight for Fuzzy. I've got it! I don't got it, Fuzzy groaned as the football bounced off the tops of his fingers, just as his horn sounded, announcing another win for the champion red shirts. It was a long, lonely walk back to the boys' dorm for Fuzzy, who had made sure that he kicked as hard as he could every helpless rock and dirt clod that got in his way. Fuzzy wasn't a bad athlete. He had made some good plays for his blue shirts, and he was also a starting player for the Big Town Boys Baseball League. I've just had an off day, he thought, but he knew that the other boys would not soon let him forget. Fuzzy did have a gift and a talent for something that very few people knew about, especially none of the boys. When he returned to his dorm and shut the door to his room, he kicked off his football shoes, making sure they went into the closet. He didn't want anything to remind him of football for the next few days. Fuzzy went to his bed and pulled a little green ledger from between his mattress and box springs. Sitting down at his desk, he began to write in his little book. My soul was lost on the gridiron today. I question now my ability to play. Meanwhile, over in Professor Prep's Academy library, Pody, Yebby T, and some of the other boys and girls were discussing ideas for the next Library Day Festival. What about the best animal story contest? Asked Peg. That's a good idea, Peg, but it would be a lot like the best pet story contest that we held last year, said Yebby T. My Aunt Elizabeth says that she attends poetry readings all the time, chimed in the very prim and proper Constance. And she says that they are quite the in thing. Now that's an idea, added Pody, and we could give a prize for the best original poem. We love it, squealed the girls. But you will never get the boys to write poetry, sighed Yebby T. I'll be competing, and I'm a boy, argued Pody in his most distinguished voice. Me too, added Benjamin. Well then, a poetry contest and a reading it is. Let's get the ball rolling, said Yebby T. After choosing a date for Library Day, the little group appointed committees for posters, decoration, and for a list of ingredients that Miss Biscuits would need for making all the goodies. Later that night in the cafeteria, the boys were all gathered at their table eating supper, while the committee members were busy putting up posters for Library Day. However, all the conversation was focused on the football game and not the committee's activities. Hey, Fuzzy, pass me the mashed potatoes, called Winston. Yeah, but don't drop 'em, Fuzzy. I want some too, joked Gary D. All the boys burst into hysterical laughter at this, except Fuzzy. Yes, I heard about your mishap on the field of competition today, said Bodie. Tough luck, Fussy old bean, he added. Fussy just kept his head down, stabbing at his meat with his spoon, but he noticed from the corner of his eye that Yebby T and Peg, who had already finished their supper, were hanging posters for the poetry contest on the cafeteria wall. Hey, check it out, guys, said one of the boys. A poetry contest. Oh, phooey, said another. They're going to want us to make up dumb, sappy poems. Ah! I'll have you know, I endorse this contest very highly, said Bodie. Yeah, it's fun making up stuff that rhymes, said Winston. I will start working on my poem as soon as I get back to my room, said Franklin. I know what Fussy's going to write, teased one of the boys. Roses are red, violets are blue. I can't catch a ball that Winston threw. All the boys in the cafeteria had a big laugh again, except one. Fussy got up quickly, took it straight to the dishwasher window, and left the cafeteria as fast as he could, but not without a backward glance at the poetry contest poster. The next day, Yebby T saw Fussy fishing off the little dock near the boat ramp on the campus of the academy. Hey, Fussy, are you catching anything? Asked Yebby T with a big smile. Nope, answered Fussy with a scowl. Fussy, can I ask you a question? Asked Yebby T. Nope, answered Fussy. Well, I'm going to ask you anyway, said Yebby T as sweetly as she could. Are you going to enter the poetry contest? Nope. Listen, Yebby T, I don't know anything about poetry. Besides, I have been teased enough already, replied Fussy. That's not what your grandmother said the last time she came to visit you on campus, said Yebby T with a chuckle. Oh, just what did she tell you? Asked a worried Fussy. She told me that you write beautiful poetry and that reading poems that you had written was what you two enjoyed the most when you visited her. She said the two of you would sit under her magnolia tree in that old wooden swing of hers, and you would read your poems to her. She said you were very good, replied Yebby T. Fussy hissed. You haven't told anybody about this, have you, Yebby T? No, but what if I had? I think it is very sweet that you have a special relationship with your grandmother. Yeah, but none of the guys would think it so sweet if they knew I write poetry. That would just give them one more reason to tease me, groaned Fussy. Not if you win the contest, Yebby T replied confidently. I've got to think really hard about this one, said Fussy. Well, you better hurry up and decide. Library day is this Saturday, and you have to have your poem ready by then, explained Yebby T. As Yebby T walked up the path toward the girls' dorm, Fussy went back to his fishing. He really tried hard to focus on the fish that were nibbling at his baited hook, but he just couldn't get the poetry contest off of his mind. He would have to think about what Yebby T had said. It would be nice to win a prize, he said softly to himself. The big day finally arrived, and the Library Day Committee had done a wonderful job preparing all the decorations and booze. There were delicious snacks and drinks prepared by Mrs. Biscuits, their children's beloved cook. All the boys and girls were there, enjoying the fun activities. There was face painting, puppets, storytelling, and a man playing a real violin. There was a door prize drawing planned for later that day, and the prize was a gift of wide world encyclopedias. To Yebby T's surprise, she spotted Fussy standing with some of the boys watching the Kitten Carlisle puppet show. Hey, Fussy, whispered Yebby T, do you want to help me serve the punch, or do you have a poem to enter in the contest? "Do you really think it is a good idea for me to enter one of my poems?" asked Fussy. "I think it's a great idea," said Yabby. "Besides, there are lots of other boys that have signed up too." "Well, I guess I'll give it a shot," said a nervous Fussy, as he continued to join in all the fun and excitement at the Library Day Festival. At the arranged time, Pody stepped up to the podium, microphone, and announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, please gather around for today's featured event. It's time for the original poetry contest. Contestants, please approach the stage," instructed Pody. "Let us please begin." It was evident to everyone that Pody was really enjoying his responsibility as contest director. "Our first lyricist for the day is Miss Peg O'Malley," announced Pody. "Give it a break, Pody," yelled one of the boys. In response, Mr. Mops, the Academy caretaker, came swiftly over to the young man and tapped him sharply on the shoulder. Once the crowd was quiet, Peg stepped to the microphone and read her original poem entitled "Pets Are Fun." After she was finished reading, everyone cheered. It was not a great poem, but it was really funny. Pody continued to announce each contestant in turn. Winston read his original verse, "Hey, what's happening?" And Yabby's contribution was "Flowers are people too." Franklin's cute verse was "I wish I wasn't donut." Constance's poem was a long, boring ode about the struggles of a hot dog vendor in New York City. Clearly her Aunt Elizabeth's idea. After each of the contestants read their poetry entries, there was a round of applause. Finally, after Gary D. read his own entry, "Life is a Willy," Pody announced, "Now for our last contestant, who is last only because he signed up last, and who is last only because at the last minute he didn't have anything else to do. Our next contestant is Fussy." Fussy walked slowly to the microphone. Yabby could see the little paper shaking in his hands. "I want to read a little something that I wrote this week." "Ahem," said Fussy. "It's called Rise Above, and it goes like this. My soul was lost on the gridiron today. I question now my ability to play. My fellow players are all in sorrow. Will I still be their friend, their playmate tomorrow? I let down the blues, who I truly love. But with me or without me, you will rise above." Of course, all the boys and girls cheered when Fussy finished his poetry reading, especially the blue shirt boys. Okay, everybody. Now it's up to the judges," announced Pody. "Let's give a big welcome to our judges. Mr. Edit from the Big Town News, Miss Gift Card from Scoopy's Books and Crafts, Mr. Treble from Treble's Music Emporium, and Miss Petals from Flowers, Plants, and People." "Judges, please complete your vote," ordered Pody. "We shall now wait for your decision." "Give it a break, Pody," yelled one of the boys from the crowd. The 4 judges were given a copy of each poem as the contestants left the stage, and they had studied and pondered over each one. Finally, after a very brief deliberation, they all shook their heads in agreement and handed Pody the envelope containing the winners' names. "Thank you, judges," said Pody. "In third place, Franklin wins for I Wish I Was a Donut. And in second place, Yabby T's Flowers Are People Too. Now for our grand prize winner. In first place, in this year's Library Day Festival, they all exulted, 'Give it a break, Pody!' This time it was Mr. Mob shouting from the crowd. Okay, the winner is Fussy for his poem, Rise Above," shouted Pody. A stunned Fussy made his way to the podium, where he had been so nervous minutes before. Fussy managed to yell, "Thanks!" to the cheering crowd as Bodie presented him with the grand prize, which was a complete collection of poems of Robert Frost. As Fussy left the stage, he said to himself, "This is so great. This may be greater than a touchdown, but I sure won't tell my fellow blue shirt teammates." Later that night, after an exciting and fun-filled day, and just before getting into bed, Fussy printed a copy of Rise Above and put it in an envelope along with the letter to his grandmother. Fussy could see her sitting under the big magnolia tree in their swing as she read his poem, and a big smile moved across his face as he drifted off to sleep. The end.